questions to our next very special guest, Mr. Madhusudan Kela, will be whether this is something that is a landmark move in the Indian economic landscape. Mr. Kela, so good having you. Thank you so much for taking the time out and being with us. And that's my simple question to you, sir. Is this a landmark move in the Indian economic landscape, simplifying the GST structure?
Yeah, it is clearly a landmark move. I would say this is like more than what we normally expect in the budget also, right? Because there is a significant impact which is being done to a lot of sectors, Neeraj. Because if you look at even something like cement, if you are selling a bag for 300 rupees and the price reduction of virtually 10%, will mean it's a very, very meaningful reduction and rationalization across categories. It will help lower middle class and middle class people very, very significantly. I am assuming government will also monitor that that entire excise reduction will get passed on to the consumer, and that will spur demand. And I'm sure government has done a very calculated move by which they will, the spur in demand itself will partially compensate the loss in GST, and also the GST increase in some things which are being done. So it's a very significant thing. But Neeraj, I would like to say that looking at the mood and looking at what we are also hearing through even people like you, a government seems to be absolutely in a determined mode to take many such measures, and this is of course the most significant one. But I am quite hopeful a lot more will get done, whether it comes to ease of doing business or deregulation into various sectors. Lot more will come.
Mr. Kela, could this, actually that was going to be my next question. The economic scenario as it stands right now with the tariff issues, etc., and maybe they'll get solved as well. But because they have happened, etc., would this have prompted the government to take this one big move and, as you said, a series of other moves? And is that a good enough counter to the slowdown due to tariffs and due to the fact that the global growth scenario is also looking a bit skittish?
I am sure that is what the government is aiming at, Neeraj. And I would like to draw your attention to the fact that, let's say, if we look at our Prime Minister's history over the last 25 years, how he has tackled problems. Whenever there is a problem being thrown upon him, how he has tackled it. I think they have been very, very decisive in tackling issues, and this is clearly, concerning the country. So I am sure they are not only looking at compensating the loss, but they are looking at even more than that in terms of widening our export base to various countries. And we have analyzed, Neeraj, this in detail. It is not as simple as what the world is making out to be, that this is what the American exports are, and this is what the impact of the tariff will be, and this is what the reduction will be, and this is what will be the impact on the GDP. It's not as simple as that. Let me tell you one or two things. One, the duty is being paid on FOB basis and not on CIF in America. So wherever the shipping charges are high, insurance charges are high, the port handling charges are high, that is all not counted in the duty which is being paid by the exporter. That is the point number one. The point number two, in lot of sectors, clearly there is a hit. I am not saying that there is no hit. There is a hit, but let's say in gems and jewelry, for instance, the value addition is maximum 5-7%. So we are importing and then we are re-exporting. So it's not that, the calculation which is going on in the market. I am saying the life is not as simple as those calculations. And I am very sure that if the government continues this path of deregulation ease of doing business, there is a lot more money which will come into India from domestic as well as international investors. And as our Commerce Minister said even 2 days back, US issue, and that is the indication which has come from there also, US issue will also get resolved. It is not that it will not get resolved. So this, when we look back, Neeraj, maybe 3-6 months later, we will think that this was like a double bonanza, that because of this issue, the government went actually on a overdrive, and they took a number of steps, and that issue also got resolved.
Kela, you've looked at so many cycles, right? And I'm taking a leaf from your last answer. With a presumption that at some point of time the US issue gets resolved, which is good enough for both sides, by the way, I'm sure, as that's how the government will do it. And this GST bonanza, which definitely gives a great boost for consumption in 2026. Does all of this set the way for the FPI flows to return to the markets? Because that is that one missing factor, right? I mean, that the FPI flows are not there, which are competing with the domestics, and which is why the markets are not really rallying at a good pace. Do you think that set the stage for FPI flows to return?
See, FPI flows, Neeraj, if you look at the base is so high, we are again making such a hue and cry about this week 10 days selling, because on a base of, let's say, $800 billion, if there is $5 billion which is being sold, we should not consider that there is a widespread selling by the foreign institutional investors. Obviously, if there are 100 people, few of them will take a view on various things, including the one which we are facing today. But I would not say there is a rampant selling which is going on from all foreign institutional investors. And FPI is not only what is happening in the country, because if the dollar weakens, then clearly the flows will increase. And I am sure, given the growth story of India, and given what steps the government is taking, and once the US issue gets resolved, the FPI flows will surely reverse.
A point well made. Alex here. I'm just wondering, we've been speaking to people about the implications of a reduction in the rates for a few categories of products. I'm wondering what you think about the second order impact, because we've spoken to a few companies, we've spoken to a few service providers, and what they're also saying is that money saved because of certain reductions will lead to a wider consumption push and move up the value chain. Do you anticipate that that will happen soon, or do you think that it will take some time to trickle through? We've spoken about the income tax cut as well, but I think we're still waiting for that consumption push to take place.
I think this will lead to definitely the process being started, and whatever time it takes, it will take. Let's also not forget one very important factor. Because of the reduction in these rates, I am very confident even the compliance will go up, and whoever was doing, let's say, if we call it, still saving up GST through other means, there is much less incentive to do it now, because the rates have come down and various categories are being rationalized. So whatever was non-compliant before this rate reduction will also come into the play. And I am sure that is what the government calculation will also be, that whoever is still trying to avoid GST because of higher rates, once the rates gets rationalized, they will also get more complied. And to your point, Alex, this is a move which will not have only a direct impact, but it will have a lot of indirect impact to aid to the growth of the economy.
So then from that perspective, if you are positioning yourself to capitalize on that, Mr. Kela, and I know that you don't build your portfolio to take advantage of small events or big events. You have an ongoing approach to picking stocks, and you look at valuations as well, you look at earnings and various other factors. As you stand today, and I think we can all agree to say that the Indian growth story, particularly based on the trajectory that we've seen in the recent past, is not going anywhere, whether somebody calls us a dead economy or not. So therefore, how are you positioning yourself at this point in terms of sector play and in terms of taking advantage of the consumption boom that we're likely to see?
My friend, what has worked for me has been always two things. You know, we have always been bottom-up investors, and we look at various sectors, whether it is financial services, whether it is pharmaceutical, whether it is consumption. You know, while we like sectors which have got very good tailwinds, and we look for specific companies within those sectors. So, for instance, for consumption sector, this is a big tailwind which has come. But we'll ultimately look at bottom-up ideas and just not buy because the GST rate has happened. So let me just go ahead and buy all consumption stocks. That's never been our approach, or not been an idea. So we will look for bottom-up investing. But what we look more for, that because of this noise, market gives a lot of collateral damage even to companies and the sectors which are logically should not have this much impact, right? And because of that collateral damage, stock prices become attractive on a selective basis. And because we have a structural good view on India over a very longer period of time, we are actually able to take advantage of those corrections. So I will be very vocal. My list is always ready, that this is what I would like to buy, and these are the prices in the range I would like to buy it. And the last 5-7 days, maybe we would have attempted to buy a few names where we are where we were convinced, but the stock prices were not attractive enough. But the once its stocks became attractive, we obviously pulled the trigger. So just to make it very simple, this is clearly a big positive for India as a whole. It's a very good step, and more important, it's the intent of the government to make sure that they are signaling enough that they are very serious about reforms in India. They are very serious about getting and making sure that our economy stays in a growth path. That is what gives me larger conviction that there might be more measures which will come in the next 3-6 months to ensure that we continue to maintain the growth which we have had. And once we have that kind of a conviction, we are clearly only bottom-up investors, and we'll continue to look for those collateral damages which happen in particular stocks. And as and when the prices become attractive and the risk reward becomes attractive, we'll dip in and buy.
Diwali gift, by the way, from Mr. Kela when we do a Diwali conversation with him around the Samvat. But I know he has a hard stop. Mr. Kela, one final question. Sorry, I know you are a hard stop, but just one final question. I heard you say that you believe some more other measures could come in as well because the GST reforms is the first of the many. What else would you believe is a must do, or you expect the most to happen in the next 1, 2, 3, 5 months?
So Neeraj, I would say, there are a lot of things, but what has to come is really ease of doing business and ease of living, because that is what is the most important thing. Like, I just read that there are some 18 permissions which are required to do exports. Now, I am sure a lot of them could be cut, and that is what at least I am betting on, that a lot of the deregulation and ease of doing business will happen, and that is what will spur confidence, and that is what will spur investments into India. The scope is there, Neeraj. You and I know it, that the scope is there. It is just that people get caught sometimes. Like the one brilliant step which the government did, like decriminalization of certain items. I am being told that they are going to do decriminalization of more 1,000 items. Now, of course, when you are doing business, you are most scared that you should not get into anything intentionally or unintentionally which has got criminal implication, right? And once these obvious hurdles gets released, and I'm not really hoping that there is something big bang which will happen, but it is that series of steps which will make sure that the ease of doing business and ease of living really improves, and that is what will improve the confidence and lead to higher growth.
Mr. Kela, thank you so much for taking the time out on such a short notice, but such an important day to have your thoughts. Much appreciate, and both Alex and me hope that we speak to you very soon around the new Samvat celebrations.
Thank you so much, Neeraj, and all the best. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the big powerhouse voice talking about what these reforms mean. Expect a series of new things as well, and a sum of parts, maybe, as opposed to a single event.